Talking about Sanctum. We should be called Rectum.
I thought that too, because the way they're spelunking all through this cave, I was like, you know what, it would be really cool if they're actually traveling through the rectum of some giant creature, like in Star Wars, like in Empire Strikes Back. You wouldn't think they're in a cave, but it's like some monster's mouth.
How can you
if they were in the small intestines of a large...
Yeah.
How can you not think that when the first shot is like this huge, like this pan of this huge, like, okay, if Mother Earth ever had an asshole, that's it.
That's what I was thinking too. Like that thing, I was like, that looks like a giant asshole from a satellite view.
First thing I thought was I was waiting for the Millennium Falcon to fly out of it. Goes, this is no cave.
I don't know. And you see, instead of a monster's mouth coming out, you see a monster's ass coming out.
You got a big plumage of a fart comes up. It is funny because they get to that scene and they're just so precious about it, where the camera stops and the music swells and they almost kind of go in slow motion, like, look and marvel at this. And I'm like, it's fake. What am I supposed to be marveling at?
Shouldn't the guy from Jurassic Park be on the helicopter there?
Like Richard Attenborough. It's beautiful. But no,
biggest asshole I've ever seen. And I'm sitting next to you.
We're going in that asshole. And it's going to be awesome.
Isn't it glorious? He's like propelling in there with toilet paper.
Man wasn't meant to go in the asshole.
This place does stink.
Yeah, he gets shit back out of it. I'm going back in. But
Boy,
man,
these sound like the movies we hate.
It sounds like the movie. No, it sounds like the movie we would make if we haven't got the budget to do it.
Sounds like a movie I pay $8 for.
Yeah, well, this movie's going to shit anyway. But this is a film based on. Now, there's a writer named Andrew Wright, and this is based on his near-death experience when he was going into this cave system and it almost got flooded out. Which, you know, when they say again, loosely based, because the guy I don't even think that the guy uses his name in the movie. Like
the truth is that he actually just fell asleep in the tub.
Yeah. He slipped and his head fell into the toilet. Well, it felt like a cave.
I forget, like, one of the natives just kind of pissed down into the hole and got on top of him and be like, oh, I almost got flooded. Oh, wait.
yeah, he was over in some foreign country and fell into the toilet and shit. Some native came and got him out.
He watched his toilet overflow, and I got a story.
Yeah, because the guy's name is Andrew Wright, and there's no character named Andrew in the film at all. So yeah, but you know, James Cameron produced this.
Executive producer.
Yeah, executive producers, which means
he threw money at it after the fact.
Which means he's like, you got to use this 3D camera.
Yeah.
I don't do nothing without 3D anymore.
Well, we know what Cameron feels about water. I mean, he is practically fetishistic about water and water in films. In fact, the next Avatar, they even said, is going to be mainly underwater. Well, duh.
Why don't you break down and do an Aquaman movie?
I know, right? we know he wants to. He's like, well, can't do it now. Thanks a lot, Entourage.
That fool thinks he's Aquaman.
Yeah. But it does. I'll tell you, I couldn't help but think all through this film is like he's going, I'm just looking for someplace else to let them use my 3D specialized equipment to show off the equipment so we can continue to make more money for it. And he found this film and was like, hey, I love water. This is great. Let's do it. Don't you want to read the script first, Mr. Cameron?
No, that's okay. Can I bring my camera? Okay.
I would say, you know what? Can you bring your camera along with one of your cat people to fucking, swim around or do something?
They don't like water.
Please.
Well, Corey, tell the good folks at home what this movie is about, and maybe I'll figure it out too.
And maybe you figure. Well, it deals with this guy who I guess he's funded by a billionaire to explore this cave. I mean, it's a deep, deep cave which opens out. It starts at the top of a mountain and opens out into the ocean. And so they're like saying, hey, man, people who like caves are like, well, there's no place else to explore around here.
Yeah, this is a cave in New Guinea that's so deep and so fantastic. No human has ever been here before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people who end up dying horribly always say.
That's what they say.
This is why we need to do this.
No human's been stupid enough to just fucking hang out.
It's not a viable argument.
I thought the movie was kind of racist at first because they showed all the white people having the black people like carry their stuff, and the black people just kind of like, we carrying this shit because we ain't going into that cave.
One thing we noticed earlier, Leon and I, is like there was the one guy who kept the one subtitled guy, black guy, right? And everything he says was like in another language, but every time everybody else talked to him, it was in English. It was like, why does Isn't that guy just speaking English? He clearly knows it.
Because he's that much of an asshole. That's why he's carrying shit.
He fucking hates white people.
Who's going to carry this? Give it to that asshole right over there.
That's what he's thinking. I'm just going to fuck with these white people and just speak my native language. No, I can speak English, but I ain't going to do it.
I thought I saw some Ewoks in this movie. Just hanging out, looking up at the rain.
But yeah, so this guy, he brings his team along. He's also brought his son, and his son and him don't get along at all. He was never there for his son. He left his wife. He even says, look, I prefer rocks over your mother, okay?
So not interesting. I'd rather hang out in this hole.
Now, the night that
The rocks don't talk back.
Yeah, don't nag me. That's pretty much what he's saying. Because he's like, down here, I feel like I'm myself. What he really means to say is, these rocks don't fuck with me like your mother did.
He was like, up there, I got to pay a mortgage. I got to go to a job. I got to change diapers. That's what the hell with all that.
It's like, what's funny if it turned out he's just homeless. He's like, I went to this cave to live, and it turns out they were kind of cool.
Yeah.
Down here, I don't have to do any of that shit. It's great.
He makes a strong argument, in other words. Plus the fact that his kid is a whiny little shit that needs to be smacked through this entire film. Oh, my God.
My dad was never there. My dad was never there.
You killed them. Well, no, really. When you look at the video footage.
Well, before we get into that, because we're talking about things that nobody knows about. But what happens here? What happens here is like on the onset of this certain expedition. I mean, they're telling them at the beginning of the movie, there's natives out there looking up in the sky. They on which means it's like it's about to fucking rain on you. And even some of the crew are like saying, this cave has a chance of being flooded out if we don't get this thing over with. I don't know if it's a good idea to go down there. Of course, being white explorers, they do go down there, and it does flood. And they have to get out of there before they drown or run out of air. It's man against the elements at this point.
Yeah, and they can't go out the way they came in, so they got to go the long, unexplored way.
Exactly, they got to go the long way out.
We should explore this section while we're waiting. Might be a way out.
Waiting for what?
Waiting for the rescue party.
There are no rescues down here. Only body recoveries. Everyone up there already thinks we're dead.
Still think we should sit and wait.
Yeah, we've got enough food for the next couple of days.
Couple of days, this cave's going to be underwater. Understood? We follow the river and get to the ocean.
The thing about this story now, when I was looking at the trailer, I was thinking like, all right, looks like a really sappy family film here, and it's like, no, this is like kind of brutal. It's
cave, a horror movie.
That cave is
that's more of a disaster.
Well, it's more, it's like,
I would classify it as a disaster.
It has some pretty strong horror elements though, because a lot of times disaster movies really skip over like the effects of what happened. You're just like, oh, that thing fell on that guy, and that's all you really see is that. And here it's like, hey, here's a bloated corpse or two or three. Now an extreme close up.
That's the thing. Well, going on with that, I was going to say, I thought this was going to be like a family film. And, well, first of all, the characters come on and like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you, fuck me, fuck everybody. And it's like, oh, they say a lot of fucks in here. And then they get to the point where the movie just starts killing people off immediately. Yeah. And they just want to show you how brutal this environment is that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, it once they start the killing, it doesn't stop. It keeps going. But way up until you get to that point, this is some of the worst dialogue I've ever
it's terrible.
heard. It's like placeholder dialogue. It's like somebody like wrote an outline for the script and said, well, this character should say something like this. Yeah. This character should say something like this.
And they never fixed it.
Yeah, they never fixed it. Somebody else came in, the writer, and just did like a search for every place it said something like this and just erased all that and put colons.
It feels like they just looked through like one of those catalogs for like T-shirts with funny slogans on it and just pulled bumper stickers and just pulled all the dialogue off there because every line of dialogue for the first 30 minutes is a cliche.
It really felt like James Cameron dialogue at its absolute worst.
Yes.
Because they're trying to give you some familiarity with these characters,
but they're character
and they can't because a majority of the time when you're introduced to these characters, they're either bitching, whining, or being incredible assholes that you just really don't get any connection with any of these people besides they're rich and they're able to spend all this time in this fucking hole and do like some dumb crazy shit, especially when you find out that a lot of them aren't even qualified to be fucking down there.
Right. Yeah, like half the team that's down there, they're going to die because they tell you right at the back. I mean, they're telling people, like even the professionals, like, I don't think that person's ready.
She's over there sweating, crying right now. No, she's coming down. Come on, hurry.
Well, plus, I mean, you know what? what you want to have with a movie like this is have your audience really identify with these characters, like them, so when they get into trouble, you feel something for them. But they're already starting out doing something that nobody who's watching this is going to feel like, oh, I would love to do that. You watch these people right off the bat, you go like, that's dumb. I wouldn't do that. Then when there's trouble, when there's rain, and there's all the natives and everybody else saying like, we should get out of here, and they don't leave, you're like, all right, that's one more strike. I am not with you. Yeah. And then the more they talk, the more they're character types who don't have any personality really. So you're like, man, whatever happens to y'all, I'm just kind of watching something. Well, I'm not involved.
No, that's the key, and that's the problem. So many films of, I wouldn't say this type per se, but horror specifically is that you've got a whole group of characters being killed off, and who gives a shit? Yeah. Why would I care if they get killed? Go ahead, kill them. You know, and it's kind of like that here, except that like I felt like I wasn't even that impressed with the ways that they die. Right. It's like nothing is really that. Oh wow, that was cool. You know, you're like, oh okay, well there goes another one.
Well, thinking about some of these kills and how people were like, you know, there's ridiculous shit going on. I'm like, okay, this is like if the water was possessed by Jason Voorhees, except you know, at least he can make it a little bit more grandiose to where some of these situations that happen, there are a few of them that are a little bit squeamish. But at the same time, it seems like they're so just like, I don't know, forced. It makes it seem ridiculous.
The drama and the tension is very convoluted. Mm-hmm. And so when it happens, it's telegraphed. So it's just hard to have any kind of impact at all. I mean, the injuries are more exciting than the actual death.
Yeah, they are. And the movie's trying to make you excited about its core plot element, which is the estranged father and son. Like, well, okay, obviously the point of this whole thing is that the drama we're supposed to be interested in is that they become friends again, and they really only are friends again on any level just because, well, I mean, it's still your dad or your son. You don't want to see him die, but other than that, there's nothing really resolved per se.
Well, all throughout the movie, these characters they change their personality.
Yeah, based on the needs of the situation.
Yeah, on the needs of the script. It's like it's on a dime, really. Like you have characters who start out nice, who then go crazy and are evil, but it's not a smooth transition. It's just like, okay, we got to the third act, bring in a new writer to come and do it.
Well, that's the way the movie starts out. I mean, the biggest name in the film is Eoin Grufford, whatever.
Famous for being
Mr.
Reed Richards.
Yeah, Reed Richards. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic, and he's the biggest name in the movie. And you can tell that he's the cocky billionaire that's probably going to lose it at some point. I mean, the movie's full of those types. You have the dad who's played by Richard Roxburgh, who's the tough dad. You got Reese Wakefield, who's his son, who's the whiny pretty boy son. And then you have the people like, oh, that's the bitch that's going to die. That's the dude that's going to die. That's the guy that's going to die. I mean,
they should have had them all in red shirts.
That's the guy that's going to, that's the sacrifice right there.
Oh, yeah. He's the noble sacrifice. Yeah. Noble sacrifice number 2.
Yeah. That's the
bitch that wouldn't listen.
That's the black dude. So, and you're right about it. Kind of. I mean, it is a movie where it's a disaster film. It's man against the elements, and those kind of movies can either be suspenseful or, in this case, look, it's a cave killing people. A cave don't move.
Yeah, honestly, that's why I like The Descent, because the cave was, the theme, like the setting. Well, but then you have Batboy.
But imagine,
scary.
Exactly.
This needed cave sharks desperately.
I was like, man, please let there be some kind of monster,
cave troll, cave shark,
anything,
Gollum, something.
Yeah, Gollum throwing rocks at people or something. Yeah, Gollum comes up and tosses a pepper and runs off. It's like, what the fuck was that?
And you can't even get one fish in this movie.
Not even a fish.
But imagine in this case is if you had, like you said, Jason Voorhees standing there with his machete and people ran into it. Like he didn't do it. And Jason be like,
just
I don't know.
What was I supposed to do?
He'd be like, for once, I wasn't doing anything. I'm trying to catch a bus. But
in a cave. It's a cave bus. The sign was right there. I don't know what the fuck they're swimming through all those narrow tubes for. And shit, it goes through every 20 minutes.
Yeah, people killing themselves by running into shit. Yeah, but so suspenseful for so long.
That's what it's like. It's like you shouldn't be down there. But I tell you and there's some things that I do like some things about the movie. I think I liked it better than everybody. But I will say that one thing that annoyed me, and I'm glad they didn't do it through the whole film. They had that African dude that sits in the back, and every time something eventful for this kind of movie happens, he comes in with the
Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. They kept flashing at him.
Yeah.
What did that have to do with
What was
anything?
the Aborigine guy who was like, yeah, you know.
Oh yeah, there was one
here,
Aborigine guy who was sitting down like a silverback gorilla. He was
back to that guy. Why was he even
Well,
here?
why was
What
he? That's
good
what I'm
was he?
saying. What kind of motif? I mean, it'd be different. Like if he was the guy who came to them early and said, "Oh, the spirits don't like you being in this
Or if
cave."
he was going to come around and be the guy who'd end up like rescuing them at the end or something like that, like fucking white people.
But it was funny when you did see him, you heard that. I would have been like, all right, dude, we get it. You did the soundtrack to The Lion King.
Yeah, but
because
every time something happened, every time they introduce a new character, I'm just like, you know, I'm glad somebody like told him to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Don't come back until like an hour and a half later before the credits. We don't need you here right now.
Did you guys notice that one chick that looked like Sigourney Weaver? Like,
Yeah,
is
she's like-
is James Cameron like making clones of former lead actresses?
You know, that is one thing I was like watching, is going like, you know what? I never thought about it before, but James Cameron, he must have been doing Sigourney Weaver because clearly he always has a Sigourney Weaver type in his movie.
And doing her in water. He's got a water and Sigourney Weaver fetish. Yeah,
Well, he was married to Linda Hamilton, who does at least facially have some similarities.
Yeah,
to Sigourney Weaver,
So, I mean, this chick was like Gemma Arterton mixed with Sigourney.
Yeah,
Sure.
Alice Parkinson.
At least I guess you did. I was too busy staring at a rack.
Well, you know what? Expect to see her in Avatar Part 2.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mr. Boogaloo.
dressed in blue with cat ears on. But you know, man, they had that scene with her. Alison Parkinson is her name. They had that scene with her where, like, she gets hypothermia or something. They gotta like. I like the way they strip her down, and she's wearing her Victoria's Secret, her best Victoria's Secret lingerie.
Oh yeah.
Just like a woman.
We got to keep her warm, and all the men are diving on top of her while the boyfriend's trying to get his clothes off. Wait, you guys, don't do that. Don't stick it in.
You snooze, you lose, buddy. This was a medical emergency.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Every time we got to take her clothes off before she freezes over. And I was like, man, ain't nothing wrong with her. They just want to get her undressed.
Just want to feel her up.
Yeah, you just want to cop a feel on her.
But come on.
Now I have to rub your breast really hard so you get nice and warm.
Wow. So the next Avatar is going to be underwater. So it just makes me think, like, if the first one was compared to the Smurfs, then the next one's going to be compared to the Snorks.
The snorks.
Oh, God.
You know what? I think we're the only people who are going to remember the snorks on Spill. Everyone else is the what?
That's something else this movie needed. Snorks. Something suspenseful.
Yeah, well, you know what? Anything would have, like I said, a
Killer
fish.
snorks, dude.
Oh, a fish would have been fine. A snork would have been almost too much.
Snork with a dagger. Like,
Yeah.
In
hunting
its
down
teeth.
people.
Yeah, I got to tell you, got me confused about this movie, man. On the one end I'm thinking, that like we were talking about before, this is just one big tax write-off for James Cameron. In fact, that's what the movie should have been called, James Cameron's tax write-off. But at the same time, I just don't have any ill feelings for it, and there were some scenes that got to me. As far as like, I thought those were kind of exciting. I don't know.
You came in with low expectations.
That's true.
So you're like, hey, something actually happened. I can dig it.
I hated this movie by the trailer, and I hated the thought of ever having to go see it. I was like, this is going to be the most boring thing, because I thought it was going to be like a really boring family film.
Hallmark Channel.
When I
Yeah.
saw that goddamn trailer, every time I saw it, I wanted to scream at the fucking screen, boring!
When I watched the trailer, I just couldn't read it. I'm like, is it a horror movie? Is it a documentary on spelunking?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I can't believe
no
we've done this
documentary
whole
now.
review and we're only now saying spelunking.
I know.
Yeah.
Regardless of all that, I'm still saying, who gives a shit?
No. Like I said, low matinee to some old bullshit.
Yeah, to suck my dick.
Damn. Who gave that rating?
Well, we haven't yet, but it's coming. It's coming.
Underwater, no.
We're only now getting into February.
I like the way you say it's coming. No pun intended, right?
No pun intended.
But yeah, I do like some things about the film. I know, Sarah, she said you didn't like the 3D. I like the 3D. I thought that we saw it's at the Gateway, so it's not a great screen.
Well, that was a big problem. It was muddy and out of focus.
It was, man, I hate that theater. I could tell by watching. I was like, if we were watching this at the IMAX or even at the Galaxy, which is the 3D theater that we have here in town, that's great. It would be I think it would be a gorgeous looking film. I mean,
really?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
I felt like they didn't really do that much with it.
They didn't have a whole lot of scenes. That's why. But there were some moments where they pulled out and they showed you how, immersed in like how big the cave was. And I was just, and those scenes I thought looked pretty cool. And there are small moments of of claustrophobia in the movie, which I thought was suspenseful, because they tell you don't panic, and there are moments when people get caught in these crevices where they can't get out from the water. I thought, like, okay, you know, they're killing off people so quick in this movie. They make me believe that, yeah, they could kill this bitch right here, and not give it a second thought. So I thought that the movie was pretty entertaining for that. It's just that a film like this, you need to build up to a really suspenseful ending. By the point where they need to get out of that cave, I really need to feel like they're not going to make it. And I really need, and people don't make it, but you know, you don't care. I don't care about any of the characters. And at the end of the movie, I'm not clutching my seat thinking like, oh God, please make it. It's just like, okay, they're going from one place to another. This person dies, that person dies. I know at least one person's going to get out of here.
Because it starts that way.
Yeah. And it starts out that way. So it's not very eventful itself. It's just, it's a kind of a mediocre movie, I think, that looks pretty cool. And it has good 3D.
You're not doing your rating? It sounded like you were about to give your rating.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know if you had any more to add to it. I
can go around on our turns.
Okay, I give it a low matinee.
Wow, that's pretty generous.
You like it, yeah. No,
I mean, it's not, keep in mind
Santa Claus in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm being kind of gracious because I think if you saw it in 3D, it would be a much better film because I do think it looks good. Just don't see it at the gateway. But this is nothing I'm telling people you got to go see. The only thing that's probably making this a little better than an average January movie is because, well, for one thing, I went in and it's more brutal and hardcore than I thought it would be. The way they were killing people off. It's not the family film that I thought. It's a rated R film. And like I said, I thought if you see it at the right theater, especially if they show this at IMAX, I think it'll be pretty nice.
Wow. I have to, like, I guess I wasn't expecting this, but strongly disagree with you on a lot of your points just now, in that, like, yeah, it's a rated R movie, but there's really no reason for that R rating. I mean,
there is not.
They say fuck a lot very gratuitously.
Except the cussing. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, they could have easily
minutes,
could easily have just like shaved that off.
Isn't it weird how they put that in there?
I mean, so many other movies that could be hardcore, could use it, but they don't because they want to try to make more money. This one doesn't need it, and they stick it in there anyway. And as far as the deaths and the injuries, that could have been in a PG.
There's only one scene in there that looks pretty gruesome, and it's not that bad. It could have been a PG-13 movie.
Exactly. So that's gratuitous. As far as it being gorgeous in 3D, okay, we saw it at the Gateway, so it's probably more gorgeous on a different screen, one where they actually spend money on their theater. At the same time, 3D bumps up the price of the movie almost to twice, and this doesn't have enough 3D effects in it to warrant that extra money that you have to spend to see it. I mean, just for those couple of panoramic shots, I'm sorry, it's just a huge waste. On top of the bad dialogue, and you know what, the acting, Ian Griffith, I'm not a fan of his anyway, but I thought even with his terrible dialogue, he was even bad delivering most of it. Yeah. And these character changes, like, you know, we've all beat to death how much you don't care about these characters, and how there's just nothing to them. And for a while, I really hovered at giving this some old bullshit. I was just like, wow, this movie's just really kind of just a big waste of time, other than giving me something to laugh at here and there. But, ultimately, just because it did grow some balls and do these deaths that I didn't think it would do, I'll give it a low rental.
I agree with most of what you're saying. The 9/10 of it. I will say, and I want to emphasize on the 3D. I really felt like it had a lot of problems. It was trying to do that Avatar type of 3D, where it kind of puts you right inside of it, but it's not really throwing shit at you. Yeah. The problem is everything is so claustrophobic there, and it's like an Avatar. Everything was so distinctive. If there was something out of perspective, everything had its own set of colors and was so odd looking. Here, it's just like somebody's shoulder or something, and you're like blinking because you're like, get that out of my eye. What the fuck is that? It's constantly doing shit like that. That's just irritating.
You had a stalagmite in your eye.
I know, pretty much, like all the time. It was constantly doing that. It's like having water drip right in front of your face when you're trying to watch in the foreground. You're like, I can't even fucking see what's going on because you're throwing water at me. Stop it. It's irritating. Now I know how my cat feels when he tries to jump up on the chair when I squirt him with a squirt gun. But you know what? I agree with you, Corey, that a lot of the scenes of the actual caves, and I just mean for pure cinematography, not the 3D, was gorgeous. Where I was like, wow, that's beautiful. I see why they would have been like, this was all worth it. At least it seemed that way at the time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is just not a lot of fun. It's just boring watching this play out. I mean, like I said, it was done so much better in The Descent. And hell, in the Descent 2, for that matter, was better. It's just, there's not enough going on here for it to be fun. There's moments here and there, and I like the actual final sequence of it, like the last escape from the cave. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool, but I'm going to give it a rental, and that's being so very fair, I think.
Yeah, it was boring. I mean, it really was. As far as the 3D, I didn't care for it. The whole time I was thinking, why was it shot in 3D? It looked, I mean, there was no real fantastic shot that made me go, you know, I'm gonna go check this out again on the IMAX. I just didn't care. I didn't care for the characters either. They're all whiny, they're complaining, they're screaming and yelling throughout this entire movie. You just want to tell everybody just shut the fuck up and drown already. And I'm sorry, but 3D and water, that's boring shit. I don't care. You know, I have more fun going to fucking the water park down the road and fucking getting my money's worth doing that shit. That's what these guys should have done. If they're looking for excitement, fucking swimming in a fucking hole. Yeah, fucking have been.
Give James Cameron a
fucking take that motherfucker.
Exactly. Put him on a slide with a camera. Push his ass down.
Got a big spinny whirling fucking ride. He'll be on for a good 5 minutes, but it'll be so much more entertaining than this whole movie.
You might actually be on to something.
Yeah, you might.
Die Hard at a Schlitterbahn in 3D.
Oh my God, you got a point,
I
man.
tell you, what can't you see the big super crazy water slide with Bruce Willis sliding down it and shooting at terrorists?
No, it is James Cameron. No, let him have his machine guns and fucking talking cats. You know, and you got a movie there, James. But yeah, next time donate some of your action to that fucking movie because that's what this movie sorely needed. It needed some kind of threat. I'm sorry, just people making stupid decisions. I just do not care. So I'm gonna have, the more we talk about this, the more I have to go, I'm gonna give this some old bullshit because it really was. Yeah,
wow,
really was some old bullshit. I mean, have a scuba team dive into some old bullshit, and that is a movie right there. That is something everyone will be in the theater. Go, oh fuck, no. and that's, I mean, really, yeah. Well, you know, have you ever swam in the bullshit?
No, I've tried to avoid swimming in bullshit. I didn't go to that park.
You should. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, no, it's some old bullshit. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I love you, co-host.
Yeah. You know, hey man, hardcore. Look at.
Boy, this review has its own romantic subtext. I
know, man. It's like all of us giving it different reviews. I guess I just didn't care enough to even go that far because I really don't care about this movie. It's like, hey, I watched it. I'm not.
And that's the thing. I did it. I walked out not giving a shit.
Well, then,
I mean, I wasn't bored. It's like some things I found entertaining. It just, if anything, the movie just showed me that I don't want to die by drowning.
Yeah.
you know what? I think that's on everybody's list.
Well, maybe not for the reason that you're thinking of, because it's like I always thought like drowning might be kind of cool, like because they say like when those last few seconds before you fuse out, it's like you kind of go into a euphoric state. Your mind doesn't have any oxygen, so you're kind of high and you imagine shit.
That's pretty much no matter what way you die. Pretty much.
I don't know if you burn to death, you don't start dreaming.
I can tell you from almost drowning twice. At the first time that I almost drowned,
what
I did have that.
Was this like Fallen? Oh no.
Well, I went to that euphoric state. I was like, you know what? I just kind of gave up. I was like, you know what, man? If this is how it has to be. And somebody pulled me out. Now the second time it happened, I got to that point, but it went a little bit further when I was like, no, wait a minute, fuck this. I want to live.
Well, yeah, I don't want to die if I have a choice, but I'm just saying if I die, I always thought, I'm so vain. I want to look heroic. I want to look pretty when I die, But like when they show one person when they drown, they just got the dumbest look on their face when they float.
I recognize that guy was going like, wait, I changed my mind. Let me up.
I just don't want to die in an ass cave. That's all. Drowning is fine.
I don't want to die where I have like the one guy who's like recognized as the best expert in the world is telling me what to do, but I'm too stupid to do what he says.
Okay, you know what? I think we got it all right there. I don't want to die in an ass cave with a stupid look on my face with that African guy behind me. I'm like, and Gollum throwing rocks at me.
Especially not like in the beginning of this film where I thought it was like, crap, they finally made Titanic 2. Yeah. But you're like, this is where it left off. I'm telling you.
I can see you dying looking like Gonzo next to the African guy.
Looking like Gonzo. Yeah. The Muppet.
Blue and buggy eyed.
Okay. My nose just got a hook at it all of a sudden.
Worst death ever.